Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Monday. Want to give everyone just a minute to join. I know StreamYard was a little bit clunky this morning, so I want to just give it a minute and make sure that we are broadcasting without a problem. It looks like from this end we are good. Welcome to Massive Shifts Monday. My name is Kelly Ruda. I am so happy that you are here and you're joining me for this session to start your Monday off on the right foot, solidifying that inner game and really lifting yourself up so that you are the leader of a business that's scaling to 7 figures and beyond, with confidence and with clarity and with a lot more ease. So unless you were under a rock in the last 7 days or so, you know that there was a huge American election that happened, and I'm not going to be talking a whole bunch about that. So don't worry about this taking a political angle. But I do want to talk about how today in my team meeting this morning, we talked and acknowledged the fact that 74 plus million people in this country are pleased with the results and 70 million are not. And we talked about that allowed us to lean into the importance of emotional and psychological safety, the importance of it on your teams, the importance of it in your communities, the importance of it in your groups and programs. And so that's what I want to talk a little bit about today, because your teams hopefully are diverse, your communities are going to be diverse, your groups and program participants are going to be diverse, and we have to be able to create safe, psychologically safe places for people to thrive. So on my team meeting this morning, we kicked off by acknowledging that not everybody might be happy about the election results for whatever reason, and some people might be happy. But the importance inside my business and for my team is that everyone feel safe to show up and be seen and heard, and also that it's incredibly important that we revisit in our community, in our paid group, that it is absolutely just paramount that everyone feels safe. So psychological safety is something that we know is absolutely required to have a vital, healthy company and workplace. It's also vital inside programs, but that's a whole other topic for another day. So today I just wanted to share with you some ways that you can create emotional safety in your business so that your team is empowered no matter what is going on outside in the world, and so that you can continue to grow and scale with innovation and creativity and connection. So there is a Harvard Business School researcher. Her name is Amy Edmonson, and she researches this topic of psychological safety, especially in the workplace. And I love her definition because it's just so simple. She says, and I'm quoting, psychological safety is feeling confident that no one on your team will embarrass or punish anyone else for making a mistake, asking a question, or offering a new idea. That's what it feels like to experience psychological safety on a team. And as a business owner, a CEO, whatever you call yourself in your company, this is part of your required leadership development. And unless people feel safe to show up and be seen and heard and held, really, unless you create what I think Simon Sinek calls the circle of safety around your team's going to be very disjointed. Your team is going to have a really hard time trusting you and trusting each other to work towards the goals, the vision, the mission of the company. And so today I realize not everybody has a background in psychology like I do and, training in this. So I wanted to give you just some food for thought about how you could be bringing this forward to your team to help you scale. Now, obviously, as a leader, you must develop the mindset that includes psychological safety on your team as a non-negotiable outcome, a non-negotiable quality of your company. If you really want people to thrive and you really want your company to grow. But we also need ways to do this. So I wanted to share with you, again, just 6 ways for you to start to think about and even bring to your team to kind of deconstruct or brainstorm on that will help you either up your game in terms of the psychological safety and emotional safety that your team feels as being part of the company, or that you can begin to create in your company if you don't know how, or you're just realizing that emotional and psychological safety is just absolutely required for people to thrive in your company. So number 1 is validating that making mistakes on the team is a normal part of being a team member. And then giving explicit examples of how you will support someone on your team in turning a mistake into a learning experience instead of encouraging them really in a passive way quite often, and sometimes not so passive, to just harbor this fear of being humiliated or called out or embarrassed or judged or admonished for making mistakes on your team. We want our team members to know they can experience failure, they can make mistakes, and that is not only encouraged, it is unavoidable. And you want to be the kind of leader that your team member can come to and say, okay, so I tried this, totally did not work out, messed this up big time, and how can we turn this into a win next time? So really cultivating that culture that mistakes are part of the journey, and mistakes in your company are always used as tools for growth, for learning, for creativity, for innovation. It's going to allow your people to really feel like they can be themselves and not tiptoe or walk on eggshells in your company. So that's number 1. Number 2, probably my favorite. Set clear, consistent, predictable boundaries and outcomes for when people cross boundaries, so that people of all genders, cultures, races, religions, all kinds of backgrounds can know where they stand, feel safe in showing up so they can be themselves and be heard. And here's the important part. You have to make sure that those boundaries, A, are explicitly expressed, and B, are directly connected to and aligned with the ethics and values of your business. My coach calls that your company DNA. And if you haven't taken the time to write out your company DNA, your values and your ethics, and why you hold them and how they drive your company and are infused into every inch, every experience of your company, including team, that's something you want to take the time to slow down and do ASAP, and then communicate that with the team so they're also infusing it into everything they do. Then you set boundaries and expectations around that. So everybody, it's sort of like setting up the bumpers when you go bowling. Everybody knows where the bumpers are, and they can bounce a little bit, but it will consistently bring them back to the lane. Really, really important. Number 3, and this sounds sort of counterintuitive, because we've all been taught the golden rule, which is treat others as you would like to be treated. But in this situation, I say break the golden rule. And instead of assuming that other people want to be treated spoken to, rewarded, given feedback the way you would want to, stop assuming. Stop assuming and just ask. How do you like to be rewarded? How do you best receive feedback? How do you like to be included, recognized, guided, given, constructive criticism? Don't assume that it's your way. Get to know your people well enough that you know exactly how they are best guided. That allows them to feel safe because they know you're seeing them, you're hearing them. You are taking the time to, as a leader, adjust yourself so that your team member can thrive and they feel safe because they feel seen. Really important. Number 4 is about culture, and it's promote a culture of curiosity so that your team becomes more resilient, adaptable, and agile. And this is incredibly important. This is something that I teach inside my Becoming Limitless Mindset Mastery program to clients who are trying to scale to, or in the process of scaling to, 7 figures and beyond. When you respond to everything with curiosity instead of judgment, you open up not only the part of your brain, but you increase your energy and your desire for curiosity, creativity, and innovation. That allows you to become much more resilient on your journey towards your other goals. But this is also true of our team members. So when you cultivate a culture of curiosity, and you make it safe for people to be curious, what you do is you increase your ability to tolerate risk-taking. You encourage team members to take risks because it breaks you out of the mold. It breaks you out of the box, and it really fuels innovation, which is incredibly important. But we must be resilient and agile and adaptable when we are innovating, because innovation requires failure. There's no getting around it. Number 5 is understanding that team cohesion and healthy conflict are not mutually exclusive things. They both can exist. I read somewhere, so I'm paraphrasing, but I thought this is fabulous. You have to remember that you want your team to be sparked. You want them to spark innovation and creativity, but friction causes sparks. And while this can feel incredibly risky to a lot of leaders and to team members to lean into some conflict, healthy conflict with healthy boundaries, what the key is that you have to learn how to distinguish in your perception and your communication the difference between challenging the merit of an idea and the merit of the person. The merit of the idea versus the merit of the person. That's how people feel safe to show up and challenge ideas and challenge the way things are being done in a team and in a company without fearing the validity or the worth they have as a team member being challenged. Really important point of discernment there. And the last thing is, and I hope this is just as blatantly obvious as ever, I just feel free to call me Captain Obvious after this one, but you need to be regularly investing in diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-active racism training for your company. This is how you create a culture of inclusivity and safety, which then pours into everything you do. It pours into your client interface. It pours into your back-end systems. It pours into your marketing. It pours into your sales. It pours into your service delivery. But that is an investment you need to make that not only models for your team members, I care about this it shows your community that you care. And because we don't want this to be performative, it builds the skills in you as a leader and in your team to uncover your own biases, uncover your own blocks, unlearn what needs to be unlearned, and relearn it the proper way. This is incredibly important. I know it's been talked about ad nauseum this year, but it bears repeating. Hire someone to come in who is an expert, like you would hire any other expert in your business, to not only train your team, but take a look at your systems, take a look at your messaging, your marketing, your ads. Take a look at, let them come in and watch how you coach. And then be a leader who's brave enough to take constructive criticism and feedback and suggestions so you can be better, do better, serve better. So there are probably 100 ways I could talk today about how you build psychological safety into your team so that you scale with more ease, with more joy, with more stability when there are unstable times around you. But these are 6 to just help you get started. And then I want to leave you today encouraging you to do a little bit more of your own research, not just on your own, but be a leader who asks. Have private conversations with your team members and say, do you fully feel safe in this company, showing up, speaking your truth, being seen by other members of your team, team? Do you feel safe as a member of our team? And if not, be humble enough, be brave enough, be bold enough to make adjustments based on what your team members are telling you. Today, somebody on my team was brave and bold enough, and she was very triggered in sharing this. But there was some languaging that was making her feel very uncomfortable and unsafe, that it's language that lots of people use, which is not, I don't mean that in a dismissive way, but I mean that not a lot of people would have caught it. And she caught it and was brave enough to bring it to a team meeting. And this is how she couched it, which was so incredible. She said, I'd like to offer this suggestion of change in language as something for the team to consider. And it was received, I received it very positively. Everybody received it very positively. And this is the kind of communication on a team and response from a team that allows everybody to feel safe. Because right now she's not feeling safe out in the world. And so her ability to show up in a team and feel safe is going to impact everything: her creativity, her service, her innovation, her energy, her mindset, her desire to overperform, her desire to over-deliver and overserve clients. So that all comes back to us, everybody. It comes back to us and learning how to be leaders who create psychological and emotional safety on our teams and in our programs. So I hope that you found these 6 suggestions helpful for you today. And I really encourage you to continue to research this on your own, to go back to your team, to ask for suggestions, to be brave and implement those suggestions, and not just to figure this out all in your own head, especially if you don't have any training or background in psychology or any training and background in how you build groups and teams. If that's not your zone of genius, that's okay. But as a leader, as a CEO, you must learn these things. You must learn these things. your people will thank you. You will feel better. You will have teams who will want to stay with you forever. And it will always be paid forward to the service of your clients and customers. Remember, it starts with us. It starts with us. On a final note, I know that a lot of you are feeling celebratory right now, and there are a lot of you who are not. 4 years ago, that was flipped. And I just want to send a message that the only way in business, in the world, in our communities, in our families, that we are going to narrow the gap of the divide is by learning to listen better. We don't have to agree. I'm certainly very vocal about not agreeing with certain things, but there's a lot to be learned from being a really curious, active listener of other people. Because one of the things that drives human beings that we yearn for is to be heard and seen. Heard and seen. We don't have to agree. We don't have to agree. And we can bring that home to our businesses, to our companies. And as active listeners of our team members, of our clients, of our customers, of our communities, we can increase our level of service exponentially. And then we can pour that into our families, our communities, our countries, the world at large. I've said many, many times, a big part of my mission to serve women globally is because I believe when women flourish, when women are financially independent, successful, stable, when we are abundant in all ways, we automatically contribute to the healing of the world. I believe that down to my DNA, down to my DNA. And we are builders of communities. So keep this in mind when you bring psychological safety and emotional safety and stability, tactics and strategies back to your team building. All right, my friends, I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts about this. Kim, thank you so much for commenting. Dusty, thank you for commenting. Melanie, thank you. Thank you. I really, really appreciate this. And again, I changed this to Massive Shift Mondays for a reason. So I want to hear your thoughts about this. I want to hear, what are you using in your company to create psychological safety and emotional safety so your team stabilizes and grows and maximizes their potential? Let us know what's been working for you so that we can share this with each other. All right, everybody, sending you off into your day and week with so much love.